I would like to keep on what you already referred to, the matter of, like, some call it that we live in the age of the feminine. Like, and what I'm interested in is, like, what is the role of man in this? How can man support this, serve this?
I don't think there is a difference between the role of men and women inside it. It's it's sort of a mixture, because if we look at history and the dominancy of men over women, and doesn't say that now when we speak about female sensitivity coming to front, that it is to exchange dominance with dominance. Okay. It is to do with changing dominance with cooperation. And it seems that maybe men should relinquish their dominance for cooperation. So it's like increasing the female sensitivity in them, because they would like to, they as well would like to feel in order to be able to be part of this cooperation. So in a way, it is to, like, in a way, a bit like the ego, is to agree to relinquish this dominance of I can conquer the world with my power. Okay, so maybe to some men it will look like giving up something, but it's actually gaining meaning, and gaining the ability to see that we're actually part of same body. Okay, and in a cell, you don't ask the cell whether it's female or male. Or no, I don't mean in an embryo. In an embryo, actually, what is being created is a third thing, yeah, which is a cooperation between female and male. But if we take a cell to itself, basically what it can do, it can change its nature according to what is needed. Yeah. So I think female will have to as well give up the power of being of the power of the victim. Yeah, because as you know, victim has a lot of power. So this will have to give up the dominancy and the power of being victimized, and they will have to find a new language in between them, and the language cannot be their benefit. The language can be only an aim for both of them, for a higher purpose, or what we call the creator, because it can reveal only with their cooperation. This is what we call the third line. Okay? So if we come into Kabbalah, the tendency to draw it down into a marriage solution, the solution of marital problems, is actually a huge mistake, because it says that the higher need to serve our us being broken in the broken situation, and not to reform us. It's like because we're broken, the light should serve us in such a way so we'll gain something from our brokenness. Okay, this is trying to pull the power of Kabbalah to solve marital problems. Now, it seems that it's a complete different debate in oneself, or different struggle to see what my life is aimed to serve, and what kind of partnership I can find in order to sort of enlarge the ability of my vessel to fulfill this mission. Okay, so we're going up to the mission and not drawing the mission down to suit us. Okay, clear. So since marital problems are stemming, and we see it more and more, yeah, it's like the basic unit of the way human had emerge, which is the family, is being broken because the ego grew, the will to receive grew, and everyone looks at one another as a way of this is my food, feed me. Okay, so I will eat you, and if you don't supply me the necessary food, I will exchange it for a different way of surviving to fulfill my needs. So to that, for sure, the higher cannot extend itself. Okay, so it's saying that in this structure of ego, we cannot actually feel what we really are. So it's first a struggle to actually want individually to be able to feel the meaning and the possibility that is being offered. And as I said today in the lesson, it's not only that the higher is helping us to evolve into a different definition of ourselves. It is why we have to look from what it protects us. It protects us from being separated. Okay, and so we all the time, all our conversation is actually layers of understanding what Kabbalah is and what it is not. Okay, so I know that in order to draw people, they say, come and learn Kabbalah, it will solve your marital problems, your income problems, your bank accounts. It will make your existence better or wealthier or with more well-being. This is a false promise, because this is not the aim and not the purpose of Kabbalah. The purpose of Kabbalah is actually allowing our spirit to define who we are, in order that it will allow us to create completely different, non-separate or included, with proxy, with affinity to the higher. Okay? So we need to want it and not to use it in order to embed something that is actually separated and broken and non-feeling. Okay. So I know that it is widespread in terms of what it is, but it's nothing to do with becoming a true vessel of reception to the wisdom, to the intention of what is Torah, what is the action of the light, and the will of the light itself. Okay, to be in partnership with it. So it's an offer of a different. It's an offer of life, because from the point of being able to feel and to justify everything that is to do with the Creator, it is quite clear that the ways of our existence is actually closer to death or sleep than to life. Okay, so actually Kabbalah is an offer of life. Okay, but it needs reforming of intention, reforming of perception, reforming of self-definition, of identity. It calls for dedication, for adhesion, and for a different set of importance. Yeah. So, this.
Great, thank you. I would love to keep on going there. This is okay. Yes, so because just recently you addressed this in a different way, that I understood that the way Western culture took the love to be the aim of a relationship between two people is wrong. That two people, in contrast to that, should be a space for the higher. So could you please elaborate on that? How could we co-create this space by two people?
This matter and this force, it is called love, is not in the nature of human. They don't have the capacity. They have the capacity to feel very dependent or with an affinity to that which actually fulfill their desires, and they call it love. But they don't. Love is the ability to bestow, the ability to see the need of the other as the purpose, and to fulfill it as the purpose of your life. This is what we say, that the thought of creation is the will to bestow goodness to his creature. So if we want to say what is it, this is an expression of love. And an ego, even if it will protect and sacrifice his life for something that it is important to him, it's basically extending himself. It's an extension of oneself. It's not, so whether it will be your progeny or your sons or your daughter or your country, yeah, it's not to do with that. It's to do with that you are, in a way, need to become a recipient of something of a different nature or a different, inside the light that the vessel can, that we can receive. There is this ability to actually think about what the other need and not what I need. Okay, so you can say that there is an instinct in human being that they would like to actually touch this ability, sparks of this being even captured by, even if there is a spark of love in someone, it has been reduced into slavery by actually its surrounding, and the surrounding is the will to receive for oneself. Okay. So in order to give it its true ecology, you need to create the ecology that would be able actually to use it for others and not for oneself. Even if you want it, you can't. Even if you say, yes, I would like to be a bestower, the nature that you are kept in, which is the nature of the will to receive, will always covet it, whether it's for self-image and whether it's for honor, whether it's for respect, whether it's for even being perceived by others as holy person. We cannot escape it. Okay, so we can be very well with good wishes, but we're trapped. If we don't acknowledge the trap, we cannot start to reform. Okay, so there is the misuse of an ideal, of a presence and an essence that is called love. So I think it needs, this is one of the words that need the deepest reformation in ourselves. And as you know, the first step of reformation is don't use. Do not use. It's Tzimtzum Aleph. Do not use unless you'll be able to receive this essence in a way that you can use it, that the means of your use will be similar to the essence. So the purpose and the means will be the same. Because if you see the biggest love story of the West is to do with death. From Romeo to Julia to Orpheus and Eurydice, it's always involved death. Those are the ideals. So it's to do with this essence dies at the hand of the will to receive for oneself. Yeah, it's an instinct. Yeah, it's like true love is never fulfilled. Because if there is an instinct that knows that if we fulfill it, most legends are ending where they lived. They never describe how they lived. They lived happily ever after. Never the description of how married life looked like. Because it died at that moment. Yeah? Look at it. I'm not inventing anything that you don't know. But it's a way of looking at it. So it means that in the vessel of the will to receive to oneself, we kill love. So we need to have a different sense, a different feeling, a different way of using it in order, so we will be able not to kill it, but it seems the only way to keep it alive is to bestow it to someone else. So it will keep alive. It will stay alive. Okay? So first, don't use the term because you don't want to kill. And then we start to reform a different attitude of what is the purpose, or what is it really? What kind of an expression and nature really love has? And it has to do with the father of all reformation. The face of love is the face of Erech Anpin, is a face that we all need to turn to. So it means it's not in us, it's in it. And we need to receive it, yeah, and to feel it, and to reform ourselves with the 13 ways of mercy. Yeah? I think it calls for humility, not only by how we use the term and the ideal in ourselves, but as well, I think it calls humility in seeing another person in front of you, what you expect from them, and what you respect in them. Okay. So I would suggest that as a beginning. Okay. Yeah.
Could you say more, like, is there also a possibility to co-create the space between man and woman as a vessel? Could you elaborate on that?
In Hebrew, marriage is called sanctification, where it's as well in Christianity. You become, what was left of it is you become you come in front of something higher that consecrate your relationship, not in what your relationship will be, but in what your relationship will serve. Okay, so this is what we need to ask about. This can be, you know, in a group, and in between two people who actually decided to take the work upon themselves, both of them. What happens if only one of them takes it? Kabbalah is not sort of a recipe to break marriages. So it means that you can actually couple with something else in order to serve your purpose, though your partner, for example, will benefit, or you'll still respect him because this is part of you which is not yet reformed. So it's not like this. It's more going like this. So any relationship, if we want to define ourselves in it, it's a relationship in our attitude to the higher, not in our attitude this way. This way is only to create a space so we can have a more accurate attitude towards the higher. And we concentrate on this. Okay. This is why it said, love the others as thyself is the true means and ways, and it's not contradictory to the purpose. Okay. Because the sin is separating means from purpose. Okay. So if we create something in between, it's for this. It's not for itself. Okay.
We're good to go?
Yeah, I think we got to go. We're good to go.
Thank you so much.
So thank you for
honor.
making it, allowing it to be expressed. Okay. So I hope people will find it useful in order to define their life with a value. So thank you.